I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
This guy's either gonna think, here's another kid with a fake ID, or here's McLovin, the 25-year-old Hawaiian organ donor. Okay, so what's it gonna be?
I am McLovin.
Hello?
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
You're in big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
I promise I will not kill you until you reach the top.
That's very comforting, but I'm afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting.
Hey, welcome back to the J&Z podcast. This is episode 13.
Lucky number 13.
Is that a lucky number?
I think so, especially with the movie we're doing.
Oh, true. I'm really excited because this is the second time we'll have a guest on.
Oh, yeah.
A really, really great close friend of mine. And I want to start it off by telling a story. So if you'll take a step back in time with me, it is Halloween 2022. Is that the year we're in?
Yes, that's the year we're in, 2022.
It just sounds fake. It's like Blade 2049. Like, it just does not sound real.
Yeah.
So let me give a little bit of backstory. So before Halloween, I was telling our friend, guest Shayna, that I really wanted to dress up from Avatar, The Last Airbender. So much so to where I don't think I could have said anything else other than I'm going to dress up as this character. Like, that was all our conversations consisted of. And then last minute, no joke, like, I wasn't doing this on purpose. We couldn't get the costume. Something happened. And so me and my girlfriend dressed up as Fred and Daphne, which I thought we looked great.
Oh, yeah. No, it was great.
But I didn't realize that Shayna and her boyfriend were going to dress up as characters from Avatar.
That's not true.
So it's not true.
That's not true.
I definitely knew.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but that's not true.
Okay. Then they show up to the party and I open the door and I go, hey! And she goes, fuck you. Ladies and gentlemen, Shayna! Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Great introduction.
It's great to have you on.
Great to be here.
I'm really excited to talk about the movie. We reviewed The Princess Bride. So tell us why you chose that movie.
So I'm not good at picking favorites of things. That's one of my least favorite things to do. And so we were talking about, what I wanted to talk about as far as the movie. And I was having a really hard time coming up with something. And then it just kind of dawned on me that that's like the perfect movie to talk about because I think it's considered like a classic. Like, it's pretty renowned.
Yeah.
But then also it's pretty sentimental to me. And I just am in love with, all of the characters, specifically the two main ones. Sorry for everything I'm going to say about them later. But yeah, I just thought it was like the perfect thing to talk about.
So are there any other top contenders other than The Princess Bride?
That's a great question. Like, when Jared brought up this question, like, were there any other movies that you went, maybe?
Yeah, so I was trying to list them out, and there was a few on there. And we were just talking about this earlier, but I really love the movie Evan Almighty. It's like up there. Like, it's one that probably top 5. But again, it's like, okay, maybe not. That's not like, we can do better.
Well, not to interrupt you, but just out of curiosity, who's paying you to say that?
Steve Carell himself.
Ooh.
God, I fucking wish.
I wish.
Carell?
I'm just kidding, Steve Carell.
Please call me. I need
Please.
an agent really bad.
Well, that's funny because that's what I was thinking was I just wanted to talk about a Steve Carell movie because he's like probably my all-time favorite actor.
Yeah, I remember Jared mentioning that.
Yeah,
like,
I just adore him. Like, he has a special place in my heart, but nothing was like making me excited when I thought about talking about it. Something that I could really talk about. I really love Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley, which is a lengthy and very I don't necessarily say thought-provoking, but like it requires a lot of brain to get through because of the language.
Not one of your movies.
So all of us should have shown up like dressed like Downton Abbey.
Yes.
Like all of us in suits, drinking like I don't know, absinthe.
Yeah. I don't think there's historical fact there, but maybe.
No, it's funny that you said it because you were definitely one of the biggest Steve Carell fans I think I've ever met in my entire life. Because the reason why it dawned on me, because your admiration for him rivals that of my own. Yeah. And so when I met you for the first time, and I think we came over to your house and we were watching The Office, and you were quoting it to a T, which I hadn't seen done, and I was having like an out-of-body experience. It was like, Who the fuck does she think she is to do this in front of me? But then it turned into admiration.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad you did that. It didn't turn to us like being mortal enemies.
Well, you know, admiration. It's when someone's better than you, but you don't get mad at them.
Right. Well, because I don't know anyone that's seen The Office as many times as you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, not to tangent, we'll go back to The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we just kind of had it on in the background, but it was like shot for shot. And then even the Superfan episodes, you were also quoting, which I hadn't seen at that point.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like,
thank you, Peacock, for the extra content.
right, exactly.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, I'm not strong
I'm
anymore.
losing.
Yeah. So back to The Princess Bride. One of the first things that we love to talk about is our favorite scene
Yeah.
from the movie, and then we'll kind of go in from there. But so I'll kick it off. I think for me, towards the beginning of the movie, because the only thing I really knew, and I had never seen it before this last Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been out
Bonkers.
1986, I believe.
6 or 7, yeah.
That's when it
so
came out.
Yeah.
eons. And
Eons.
yeah. And so
Dinosaurs were around.
I mean, God.
But it's one of
There's
those
dinosaurs
movies,
and techno music.
yeah, exactly. It's one of those movies that where when you tell someone, they're like, "Oh, have you seen The Princess Bride?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I haven't." They always go, "Oh my!" It's like, oh, fuck. And so what I did is
I had that happen too.
there's a specific line in the movie that I just have heard, and so when someone would ask me, "Have you seen The Princess Bride?" I just go, "Blah, blah, 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 blah," and they go, "Ah, ha, ha," and then we would talk about something else.
You're like, oh, thank God.
So I was
That's
like,
all I
I
got.
convinced them.
exactly, I'm in. But I was like banking on that line being like just peak comedy in that movie. But it's not even close.
No, it's
No.
like it's an afterthought.
It is,
It's just
yeah.
a little boop.
It's a fucking throwaway line,
Yeah,
if anything
it is.
else. But for me, for me, it was the sword fight
At the top of the cliff.
at the top of the
Yeah.
cliff.
Yeah.
It's like the amount of just one-liners that you could pull out of that scene. I also had the realization, if you've ever seen Criminal Minds,
Yes.
Mandy
Mandy.
Patinkin.
Yeah.
Gideon, as I know him. But he
Just Gideon.
He was what's the character's name?
Inigo Montoya.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just everything he said in that scene was gold.
Yeah.
It's I read some trivia on it. It's his favorite role. And people will actually come up to him and be like, my name is Inigo Montoya. And he's like, he loves
Does
it.
he say "prepared to die"?
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah, and then he murders them.
in cold blood.
Classic Gideon.
So we're actually just talking about Mandy Patinkin.
The FBI, he did Criminal Minds as a cover.
he did, yeah.
No, but he talked about how it's like being in Wizard of Oz, like Wizard of Oz. He's like,
Yeah.
that's how much I love this.
Yeah.
That would have freaked me out though if I was in like a cult classic like that. I
I've
feel
talked
like
about that a couple times.
yeah, because there's actors I feel like that struggled a lot with that. Like
Sure.
the guy, you know, that played the Fonz.
Oh,
No, it's not Hawaii Five-O.
no. I can't think of it. The Fonz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll come back.
The
But yeah,
Fonz plays the Fonz.
exactly.
exactly.
Can you? I mean, after watching Happy Days, because I grew up in the '70s, obviously.
Yeah. You look
Him-
really good for being
Yeah.
born in the 70s.
It's cream, cereal cream.
God, I need to buy it.
I couldn't picture him doing anything else
Mm-hmm.
other than just that character, and so
Sure.
him getting into other stuff. Like that would be, and I guess it's a stupid thing to say, like, oh, I would hate to be in a great blockbuster cult classic, but it's like
Right.
the transition, I feel like
Yeah.
would be difficult.
Brutal.
Yeah.
No, that's a totally fair point. I
Yeah.
think that, yeah,
It's like,
yeah, it's just like, you just try, I guess, you know, and
Yeah.
he did it, obviously, but it was
Mhm.
also like a long time later,
Yeah.
you
it's
know.
true.
Well, and Hollywood
So-
loves to typecast people. Like
Yes, they do.
Jonah Hill, Seth
Mhm.
Rogen. I mean, even directors are the same way. Like Judd Apatow was like, okay, so this movie is you're not friends, then you're friends again, and you're going to smoke a lot of weed.
And then you break up, and then there's a montage, and then you guys
Yes.
get back together at a baseball game, and then we end it with a pop song.
And it's
Yeah.
really cute.
And it makes a
Yeah.
ton of money.
It does. It
Yeah,
does though.
honestly.
With Mandy Patinkin's, he was really good on a show called Dead Like Me, which I highly suggest, where he's him and a bunch of other people, they passed in different ways, comical ways, and he's the one who brings them to a diner, and he's like, hey, so you're dead, and what you're going to do is make people feel more comfortable for when they die, and that's what I'm here to do. And he's really good on that show.
That's cool.
I watched him from that, and then it was like, oh, Dead Like Me. So, or Princess Bride.
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's one of those things where I am one of those people that always sees him as like Gideon, but obviously he looks nothing like that in The Princess Bride.
Oh, he's
he
so
has,
cute.
Yes, I was
So
gonna say,
adorable.
he has like the gray, luscious locks.
The hair, like the curly hair.
And it's like a wig, but it's not. I mean,
It's
probably
not.
it might be a wig, but like it doesn't look like that.
It
It just
doesn't-
looks
yeah.
full and like
Healthy.
healthy.
Yeah.
So healthy.
It is funny that you said that about that your favorite moment being that, because I really like that moment too, because he's sitting there and it like gives a chance for the characters to breathe, where it's like
Yeah.
he sits there and he talks about like, you know, I'm not going to kill you yet. Let me tell you about like what I've been through.
Yeah.
And then Carrie Elway's his character is like, all right, I'm going to listen to this and then we'll get ready to fight, instead of some movies where it's just like, no character, I need to kill you.
Exactly.
So that was my favorite scene, because it was like, okay, even if I walked into this movie without watching it, I'm like, this makes sense. This is this character, and they're getting ready to fight, but they respect each other. So it kind of reminded me, like, as a kid, I hadn't seen this until I was in middle school, but I'd watched the Mask of Zorro as a little kid. So like that whole like respect.
I've done this so many times. I'm sorry.
Mamma mia. But as a kid, I watched that a lot. So that was kind of like my idea of sword fighting, was a
I
lot.
love that movie.
The back and forth. Yeah, Mask of Zorro was great.
Great movie. Yeah, we talked about that while we were watching The Princess Bride. I was like, yeah, and there's this scene in the barn where he's like da 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 da, and then she's naked.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I
You did
explained
bring
it
that
perfectly.
scene up a lot.
It's so great.
It is.
It's so good.
You mentioned something else that I thought was really cool that I didn't think about when we were watching it. Is you talked about how how the scenes were set up was almost like you were watching a play.
Yeah.
Like
I
how it was
love
set
that.
up. And I didn't
makes
really like
sense.
think of, and then you said it, and then it was like I couldn't not see it.
Yeah.
Now I can see it. Yeah.
Because how the set design is set, like I don't know if that's what they were intending, but it might have just been late 80s. That's how they shot it. Like I don't
We're
know.
also out of money.
They were working with what they were working with,
Yeah.
so we don't know. But it's just very like, as a theater,
They'll
person.
They'll put anything on Broadway, so I could totally see like
Oh,
The Princess
absolutely.
Bride coming to theaters now.
Yeah, the musical. But
I would see that.
Oh, I would totally pay
Absolutely,
money
we would,
for it.
yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Lila says it's real.
It's a
You
thing.
idiot.
It's
That was actually something with the movie where anytime it cut back to Fred Savage and Peter Falk, I was like, can we just get back? Like, I'm sorry, but I just want to watch the entire, like, I want to see a cut of that movie where it's literally just the story. It's not like, but then what happens with the sword man? And I'm just
okay,
like,
you know what? Okay,
shut up.
I am actually in the exact opposite boat because we're watching that movie. And the fucking grandpa is like, oh, and then they started kissing and loving on each other. I'm like, are you just reading erotica to this like
Yeah,
6-year-old?
he's like ruining Peter Falk's character, and I'm like, okay, in
And then
my
he-
house, unacceptable.
It was a little weird because he's like, Grandpa, can we skip the kissing part? And he's like, no.
I get that, but I kind of love that he takes him out of it. I don't know why. I think it's just like because like you watch the kid kind of get more and more into the story. You're also getting more and more into the story.
True.
So it's like when he does pull you out, like you even said it one time while we were watching, you were like, oh, shoot, I forgot that this was a story. Like, you forget. And then
Absolutely.
when you go through certain parts of the movie, like the fire swamp, or when he's in the like machine of death or whatever that thing's called, like it's a story. Like it's supposed to be like that. You kind of get to lean into the magic of it all a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bring up a really great point I want to talk about, but I want to get back to everyone's favorite part. But I want to ask you first. So
Go for it.
Czar is famously terrified of rats.
Oh, God.
Oh no.
Terrified of rats.
Oh.
So if you've seen The Princess Bride, in the fire swamp, there is, it looks like a human being put on like a...
It was 100%.
A human-sized rat costume.
Oh,
and I had never seen it before. So immediately I saw
So
that.
gnarly.
And I texted Czar. It was just a rat emoji. And that was it. There's no other context.
Yep, I hate rats.
And so I was sitting at your house watching it. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to ask you about this.
Yeah, he was freaking out. He was so excited. And then we all were so excited because I was like, oh, I didn't know that. He's going to hate it.
Because I'd seen the movie, but I was like, oh, God, there's a rat part coming up.
What I want to hear, walk me through your first reaction as a kid in middle school.
So I was watching it and I was like, okay, they're going through this. This is kind of, there's fire. Oh, that's cool. All right. Oh, no. What would I do in that situation? Probably throw up. piss myself.
I think you just faint.
I would-
You just faint.
So
You go,
I'd be getting eaten by the rats, and then the girl would either be fighting the rats or being eaten, and then it'd be like, all right, and that's the story.
That's the end
Good
of
night,
the
kid.
movie.
Good night,
Good
Fred
night.
Savage.
Yeah. Also, quick side note about Fred Savage in the movie. Do you know have you watched anything else that has Fred Savage in it?
I have.
Okay. Because he always makes me think of this movie that we watched in high school for some reason about, sorry to just wreck on
Is it
Fred
the-
Savage.
Is the PSA like the?
Yeah, the one where he
Oh,
murders his girlfriend.
My God.
You've seen it?
Yes.
Thank you.
I saw it
I've
for
asked-
health. I had
Yes!
freshman health, and it was just like
Oh
Fred
my
Savage
God.
being like P. Diddy and like slapping.
Literally slapping and beating the fuck out of this girl. And we're just like
Yes.
in health class as 14-year-olds. Like, what the fuck? What are we learning?
What was happening in high school in the
Oh.
70s when you guys were going to school?
Okay,
Oh,
80s.
that's true. Maybe they stopped showing it.
Yeah, I think after like
Holy
95, there was
shit.
like
That's
a
crazy.
rule.
I've asked so many people if they've seen that movie, and literally no one has agreed with me.
Yes. Yes, I do remember that. I'm gonna validate you right
Thank
now
you so
and
much.
YouTube it if you haven't seen it because it's like everything's
doesn't
all
exist.
80.
It's
It-
called No One Would Tell. I even remember
What
the
the fuck?
fucking
Yeah.
name. Yeah, because it scarred me.
That's terrifying.
It was
'cause
horrible.
I remember
What the
my
hell, Fred Savage?
I remember my
Dude, yeah.
teacher. It got to the part where like the teachers were noticing like the bruises
The
and
bruises,
everything.
yeah.
And he paused it and he was like, "This is the bullshit that I hate." And he hit his hand against the wall. Like my teacher was really pissed off that like that someone was getting abused.
Oh.
And no. He
Okay.
wasn't like, "Yeah, beat her."
Yeah, I was
No,
like, what?
no.
Oh my God.
Again, again.
And
No,
then he went to
no.
jail.
No, he was really upset that that happened, and he like hit the wall. And the next door class was like, hey, and he's like, okay, no, it's okay. But that's what I remember. I remember watching that movie, and I was just like, this is fucking insane
It's
to
literally
watch
so intense.
freshman year of Fred
Yeah.
Savage. Like,
And like
Oh.
part of me is like, yeah, you should, because that's a real thing, and like that's an age where you could easily, as a young woman or man, be taken advantage of. But also like, holy shit, like normal, not even like advanced health or like, you know what I mean? It's like not an intense class, but it's just a really fucking intense movie.
That was not my experience of health class. My
Yeah.
experience of health class was we were all popcorn reading from the book, and I went in the vagina. That's
Oh
my
my
experience.
God.
I remember they had a show for health. They showed the video of the woman giving birth. And my teacher, she had to rewind it. And some kid in the back went, "That baby's going to get rug burn."
Oh no.
The only like certified good one someone said to me was also in health class, and it's when they show a circumcised and an uncircumcised penis.
The more you know.
Yeah, and my friend came up to me and he went, "Are you circumcised or are you an uncut gem?"
Ew.
So good.
That's horrifying.
So,
and
okay, so-
And now back to the Princess.
yeah, sorry, now
yeah,
back.
yeah.
After
Yeah.
that talk.
That was wild, though.
That is
So okay,
crazy.
so here's
Yeah.
my thought. It's like, okay, sounds really intense. I haven't seen it, but how does Fred Savage's agent go, "Hey, so I've got something for you. Just hear me out."
Just hear me out.
How
You're
would
gonna
you-
be the fucking worst.
You're gonna
So-
Are you single right now? Because you're
Yeah.
gonna be single for
You're
a while.
gonna be single for sure. Well, and then did you watch Boy Meets World?
Yes.
So he's on that too, and he plays
Yes.
the like gross, creepy teacher. So it's like, I don't know if Fred Savage is a bad person. I hope he's not, but he's really good at playing a bad person.
Recently, like he did like have to step down from the reboot of the Wonder Years because of some like allegations of him being like a really pissed off co-star.
I mean,
and
I believe it.
Being kind of like
Not Fred Savage.
Yeah.
kind of like kind of abusive. So
Yeah. Just, yeah. And it sucks because, like, you don't want to say that, but
yeah,
I mean, it kind of
watching
is what it is. Like, if
Prin-
you're going to be
watch
that way.
Princess Bride and be like, you're gonna turn into a monster.
I think it every time,
you're gonna be one
though.
of those eels.
Yeah. Oh, those are gross, too. That's a gross part, too.
He
Those and
did-
the
the
rats are
kid-
pretty nasty.
Got really mad at his grandpa.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
Like,
you
"Hey,
can see the
you
anger."
old bag of garbage, finish that page.
yeah, Peter Falk. You want to keep going? You want to keep going? Even though the grandpa's like, shut up. Like I'm literally, I'm
trying to read.
If it was my grandparent would be like, all right, I'm gonna head out. Enjoy your video games because I'm leaving. I'm gonna go have some coffee with your mom.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Not gonna talk to you if you're gonna be like that.
You're gonna keep interrupting me.
No, so rude.
He's a really mean kid to his grandpa.
He was. You can see it. I'm sorry, Fred Savage, but you can see your anger.
I'm not sorry. You need to calm down.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Yeah. First
Fred
of all,
Savage,
don't touch me.
please leave.
Okay, so Best part. So mine again is the top of the mountain, the sword fight.
Yeah.
Because also the sword play was really cool. Like
was really
that's why
good.
when I was a kid I loved Star Wars a ton because of
Oh.
that.
Mhm.
So good. And why I don't like the new movies as much, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point.
Yeah.
But Shayna, favorite scene from? I know you really like the barn thing, but
Barn thing's close. We
The
all love the
barn
barn
thing.
scene. So there's a scene in the very beginning when they're just like he's introducing their love, and he says they're in this little like room in the barn, and he goes to leave, and she doesn't want him to leave, and she's like, "Farm boy," and then asks him to grab something that's like right by her,
Mhm.
and he like gets all close to her, and then like takes it, and then puts it down, and then just whispers, "As you wish." And
Oh,
it's
basically
like,
the scene.
ooh.
Yeah, the scene is
It's
like
so steamy. It's
you're
so
just watching
steamy.
it in the background. There's sexual tension.
Literally so much sexual tension.
They actually, I read IMDb trivia. The Carrie Elways and her, they actually like were into each other.
I'm
like,
sure they were.
were crushing on each other.
How could you look at that?
Anchors away,
Oh, yeah.
Captain Obvious.
That's what I'm saying. Like, look, how could you not? They're both beautiful.
They were definitely not hard to look at. I'll say
No.
that.
That
Yeah.
helps.
It is really funny, that scene in particular though, where she like needs him to grab something and she just like points,
Yeah.
but like stares at his mouth as she's
Yeah, it's like so sexual, and it's
Yeah.
just, but I don't know.
And Fred
It's just so
Savage
good.
is like, "Grandpa, read that part again."
I like that.
Grandpa, please.
Yeah, and he's like, "Next week I'm gonna come by with 50 Shades of Grey."
Right.
So okay, so is the barn your favorite scene, or is there another one?
No. So my favorite scene is it's shortly after he's got her away from the whole wine thing. So
Okay,
they're
yeah.
like trekking over the mountain or over the hill, whatever that thing is. And they, what does he say to her? They're like talking, and she's like kind of being like feisty at him because she thinks that he's Dread Pirate Roberts and blah,
Yeah,
blah,
and
blah,
she doesn't
like
know
all
who
that
he
thing.
is,
She
yeah.
doesn't know who he is, which is like, you don't know who he is.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
do you hear that voice? Do you see those lips?
Look
Like,
at
come on,
mustache.
girl.
I don't know this person.
Yeah, like you want to know that person. But it's okay. Sorry to just make that so obvious.
No,
You'll
no,
have
no,
to
you're
cut
good.
that later. Is the scene where so they're on there and she's like kind of yelling at him and he's making fun of her and she says, "You mock my pain," and he says, "Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says otherwise is selling something." And I just love the like veracity behind how he says that line. That's just like he's pissed.
Yeah.
You know, like he's very upset. He thinks that she left him and like gave up on him. And he's like wants to give her a hard time about it, you know? So it's like, but then also what I think he says is valid is that it's like that's what it is, you know?
Yeah.
We do our best and we try to do all these things, but like being alive is feeling, and more than half of that is pain, you know? So it's like, it's just so, it's so good. I just love that line.
It's great. I absolutely agree. Very well said. I think that part for me was probably like the second best. I just really like the weightiness from the beginning of that sword fight scene, because I was thinking to myself the whole time, I'm like, holy shit, is this like, are they trying to be funny? Is this supposed to be serious? But then after a while I was like, okay, it's obviously supposed to be funny. So
Right.
I'm curious, you said you also like that scene, but what is your favorite part from that movie?
So I think that my favorite part of the movie is that scene because of the backstory of Inigo Montoya. The whole like, you know, how many fingers do you have? And he's like, oh, I got 5 fingers. And he's like, oh, well, I'm looking for a man that has 6 fingers. It's gonna suck to kill you.
Yeah.
And Carrie Elways is like, I really don't want to die, but you have to die.
Yeah.
So I really liked that scene and the scene with Andre the Giant, and just like, okay, I got to use my brains, I got to use my brawn, I got
Yeah.
to use everything I've got
Yeah.
to try to win out of this situation.
Yeah.
And you also have the inconceivable line that I've had people say at me and be like, yeah, you get it? You get it? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking
You're like,
about.
inconceivable.
Oh, or marriage.
Marriage.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I've
that's
heard,
yeah.
I always forget that's in that movie. I always forget, and then it comes up, and I'm like, oh,
I have heard
Aw.
it so many times.
so dumb, and I love it so much.
It's, I was watching the movie and the old lady that yells boo.
I love her.
She, is
Go
it
that
the
lady.
girl with
So
the
great.
crazy like
The eyebrows? Yeah.
Oh, she scared the shit out of me. She's
I-
freaky
Yeah, Jared
looking.
left the room for that
I
scene.
did. I went ew and then walked away.
I want to be that old lady at events and just be like, boo.
No, that woman rocks. Like, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you
she's
get up and
awesome.
tell her.
Cojones
Tell
on
her to
her.
fuck off. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say.
No,
I
go
was worried
for
about
it.
Bessie.
Yeah, no.
Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Buttercup, you're just gonna be.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you go against your love?
Side note: the scene where we were talking about this when we watched it, but where she says like, you promise not to hurt him or whatever. And he's like, the look he gives her, and he's like, are you fucking serious?
Mhm.
Like, no, this is the whole point of me coming to get you. Like, he's just so upset with her.
He's
And
fuming.
I love that because it's like, that's not what he wanted. I don't want that. I just want to be either together or not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So one of the things that I would love to talk about next, because we've talked about this in a couple different movies we reviewed, is what is happening in the writer's room.
Oh yeah.
Of them, because I mean, I know it can be a little bit different, but for us, like, we had a lot of weird questions about like, why did you put that in there?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's the six-fingered man, because I feel like they're like, okay, so we need to make something that is like it's him, like
Mhm.
something that's like
Yeah.
maybe like
Distinct.
a weird tattoo or like a scar, and then someone in the back of the writer's room with a hood on goes, "I got an idea.
6 fingers.
Give him another finger." And then who the fuck goes, "Great idea, Paul.
Perfect,
Great
Paul.
idea."
Perfect. 6 fingers. You got it.
I love it.
Oh yeah. No.
I
it's-
fucking love that. But
It's
that's so
iconic now,
true.
yeah.
It's so random.
It's so
Mhm.
weird.
But it's like, it's kind of good though, I feel like, because it's so subtle.
Yeah.
You know?
It's-
Like, you have to
it-
look at it for a second, like, what's wrong? What's
wrong
going
with
on with
your
your
hand?
hand?
I think my
No
question.
offense to people that have 6 fingers, but it just looks different, you know?
You're weird.
No.
Just like people who are left-handed. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. There's one among us.
Why are you hurting my feelings?
I think if I was in the writer's, like if I had a question for the writer, who was the creature or guy that came up with the death machine? Like the weird,
the guy with the
like,
white hair.
Igor, like
That guy also was creepy.
Yeah, like
That guy rules.
No, well, yeah,
I
but
mean, he doesn't. He sucks.
it's one of those things where I was just like, someone's just like, yeah, I got an idea. How about we make a machine that takes years off of someone and it's powered by water? It's like, oh, great idea. That's perfect.
Well, and then on top of that, it's like, and then like the dude who's gonna have it, whose machine it is just gonna be the weirdest guy with the whitest, straightest hair, and has so much powder on his face for
That's what I was
some
gonna say.
reason. Has just like the ashiest complexion.
They're like
So
they're
funny.
filming it. And they're like whiter, more powder.
He looks
more
like
powder.
he got into a bunch of glazed donuts with his lips.
No, it's just a bunch of cocaine.
That's what I was. Yeah, that scene really irked me because like that's kind of my thing. It's because we're gonna watch a lot of scary movies this October, which I'm not
so
excited about
fucking
at all.
hyped.
Ugh.
I'm
But,
so
yeah.
excited.
Boo! But
Yeah, count me out for that.
that old lady with the eyebrows, I was not okay with. And then this guy who comes into like the cellar and he goes, and he just he like walks over, and the guy is so calm. He's laying on a death machine. I'd go, "What the fuck?" And I would freak out. I would not be okay.
No, you would die of stress.
Yes,
Then on the
literally.
table
Pass out.
before anything happened to you, you'd just be like, I don't know, boss. This one just fucking
He
died.
just died.
If I saw that dude like healing my open wound, I would go, just faint instantly.
Because he's really calm. He's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm cleaning your wound before you die. And he's like, all right, cool.
That's one of my favorite things about him.
Mhm.
Is that so magnetizing? Is that he's just like I'm good.
Getting you
We're
ready
good.
for
Shayna,
death.
Like,
she
we're
was watching
fucking
that shit
good.
and she went, "Oh, excuse me, sorry."
That's not a joke. That really happened. I think they are both the foxiest people. That are
Every
just,
every person in the movie, it's just like, I would date you. I would date you. I
Well,
would
maybe
date
not
you.
everybody.
I do a lot more than date them.
For the
if
6-figure
you know what I mean.
zing.
The thing though is like, okay, why I agree with you in that regard is specifically for the male counterpart is if you close your eyes, do me a favor, close your eyes, and think of a pencil mustache.
Mm-hmm.
How creepy is the face that is on that pencil mustache? Except for you, Shannon, because I know what you're thinking about.
I was like, it's not creepy at all.
But it's not like a guy that can make a pencil mustache look so good.
Oh yeah.
Impressed. Very impressed.
It's
I
masterpiece.
I read something where people were really surprised that his career didn't take off because
Yeah.
like after this he did Robin Hood, like Men in Tights.
Yep.
He did Liar Liar as the stepdad,
Really?
the one that's like, oh, the claw's
That's
gonna get you.
him?
Yeah, that's him.
Wow.
He was also
I didn't
in-
make the connection.
In Twister, he's
Oh,
now
I
in,
didn't know he was in
he's now
Twister.
in Stranger Things, one of the newer seasons of Stranger Things. But like
Oh,
everybody
shoot,
was
I
like,
didn't know that.
everybody was like, God, kind of wishing that like his career took off.
I
'Cause
agree.
He was so good in it because I was watching it and I was like, it kind of reminded me of Leonardo DiCaprio a little bit.
I could see that.
Just
Yeah.
a boyish type of charm, but I was like, no, this guy,
Yeah.
Carrie Elways, just knocks it out of the park. Like
I wouldn't.
he
Yeah,
is.
I wouldn't
I'd
say
agree.
boyish charm. For me, it was like he was just very naturally charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like, but just so confident or like
Mhm.
assured, like steady,
Self-assured,
very
yeah.
steady
Yeah.
in all like facets of whatever that means.
Yeah.
And that's so very. It's just that's nice.
Yeah, the thing I liked about the movie is it felt like everybody was on the same page. Like
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And Andre the Giant said in an interview, because someone asked him like, "Oh, what was your favorite thing about making it?" And he's like, "No one looked at me different.
Mhm.
Like everybody looked at me like no one was looking at him like, oh my god, the giant's in the room. Everybody was like, no, you're a character. Like you're one of the
Hey,
henchmen.
Andre. Yeah.
Like, hey, bro, do you
Yeah.
want to go drinking?
Yeah. Let's grab
I
a
mean,
beer.
To be honest, like, what are they gonna say? Like, you're great for this movie because you look weird.
Yeah, because you're strange.
Because you're literally a giant.
Those three henchmen, though, one of the first.
I want a
things that-
movie of just them.
It's true. Yeah, like a knockoff. So the bald guy that's kind of like the boss of the three.
It's like Vincini or something like that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I realized was like, oh my god, that is the principal from the Goofy movie. Same voice.
Oh my
He goes,
God.
Science slumber parties. And I couldn't take him seriously
Classic.
after that.
Oh my
Another
god.
wonderful movie.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
great movie.
Yeah. It's so funny too because not the tangent, but I was talking to my mom about this. I was like, yeah, next year for Halloween, I'm gonna go as Powerline, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And she's like,
So
no
sick.
one's gonna have any fucking clue.
Oh
what
hell
the-
yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
gonna
no,
know what you. Oh
Yeah,
no,
we are.
Powerline, baby.
Oh yeah.
There's no way. There's no way.
It's so iconic though with the hair and the
Mhm.
like the line, the like whatever he's got going on. It's very specific.
It
So,
is. It
I
is.
was thinking about something with this movie. I feel like with this movie and The Sandlot in particular, if you've seen this movie as a kid, I feel like a lot of people really have that attraction to it, where
Mhm.
it really is like a staple of their childhood.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of adults that if they watch this as an adult, they'll like it, but they're not going to have that nostalgia around it.
Sure.
Like for myself, I'd already seen the Lord of the Rings movies before
Mhm.
this, and like the Black Cauldron and Labyrinth and Legend.
Yeah.
So my idea of like fantasy was like, all right, so when are the orcs showing up?
Yeah.
Okay, no orcs are showing up. Okay, so when do the like the superpowers and like the magnetism and,
Yeah.
the wizards? Okay, no wizards are showing up.
I see
okay.
your orcs and I raise you rats.
Exactly.
Fire rats.
Fire rats. But I personally think that with this movie in The Sandlot, if you've seen it as a kid, you have more of a connection to it, which is great.
I don't know why you feel the need to drag the Sandlot into this because
Well, I feel like with The Sandlot also, it's one of those movies where it's also really quotable, and for a lot of people, if you see it as a kid, there's more of a nostalgic like connection to it.
I just think it's a great overall movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I
yes.
stand. I love The Sandlot, but I don't watch it very often. Like I'll watch The Princess Bride more. Like I feel like myself want to see other movies besides. Like I don't really. Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
another. So it's not like a repeat movie. Like let's say you are a little bit under the weather, you're on the couch, you have a bowl of ice cream, you're just vibing. You don't put on The Princess Bride.
I mean, The Office is on in my home constantly. To be honest with you, so
Solid.
like literally constantly.
It is hard to compete
It's
with
not
that.
a joke.
For me, I kind of agree with you. I think that one of the big factors I was lacking was the nostalgic piece. It did a really great job. Like one of the things that I always like will judge movies on is if I ever check my watch.
Right.
So
Mm.
like I love Batman. I love Batman. Like there's literally comic books on the table of Batman.
Yep.
The newest movie, way too long.
Oh yeah.
Like we talked about it in the
It's like
podcast.
a 3-hour movie, isn't it?
Way too long.
I
Way too long.
had to pee like right in the beginning, and I thought my bladder was going to explode by
could
the
have
end.
died.
I honestly, great death.
Yeah. But this movie, I never thought that. I never was like, oh, what time is it? Blah blah blah. It just kind of
No.
like went by,
Yeah.
and I that has to mean it's fairly decent. Like it held my attention because I do have ADHD.
No, I would agree with you. I think it's a movie that really it held my attention.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I thought was it didn't really kind of hold me as much is I got a little bit lost in the dialogue, which
Yeah, because we don't have subtitles. That's
I have to watch with subtitles. I'm
I watch
deaf.
I can't hear.
No.
Not if I'm eating popcorn
No,
and
especially-
commentating. I need to read it.
Characters are whispering. I'm like, I have no
Yeah,
clue
and like
what
in
you're
commentary,
saying.
it looks like this, and it's like very quick and low, and it's like, how am I supposed to hear that? He doesn't sound like that. I'm sorry.
But
I
no,
apologize.
it's
It's
totally
not
sorry,
accurate
Mandy,
at all.
for-
I'm sorry. That didn't do it.
but
gotta
you're exactly
justice.
right because I was sitting there and I'm like, whatever you're doing, it sounds really cool. I have no clue.
And
what
that's
you're
what I was
saying.
thinking. I was like, he's not gonna fucking know what's going on because you have to hear it. Like
Yeah.
you have like the whole story of like the whole Dread Pirate Roberts thing. Like you
Mhm.
don't know that exists unless you're listening like intently, I don't feel like you really just get it.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, I don't know, some guy in like a really gay costume showed up and then like beat all these dudes up.
I really liked Billy Crystal in this movie. Them reviving him. The,
Yes.
the
Creepy,
couple. Like,
Such a
creepy.
great cameo, like random thing.
the director actually had to walk off anytime they filmed it because he was laughing too hard
Yeah.
at Billy Crystal, like grabbing the dead bodies and be like, "Hey, grab him over here!" Like, how much for the dead body?
So
Done
good.
a lot more for a lot less.
Yes. Oh God, that was really good. That was a great scene, especially. Have fun storming the castle. Think they'll live?
That'll take a miracle. Bye. My dad says that to me he would say that to me like every time I left the house when I was like in high school. Have fun storming the castle.
That's
So funny.
classic dad.
Classic.
I love it.
Dad.
It's so funny. He still does it, but yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
For me, the scene that made me think of a different movie was specifically the sword fighting and the road to El Dorado is
Ooh,
what I
Yes.
thought
that's a
of.
good one.
Just the banter while sword
Yeah.
fighting is happening.
Yeah.
It's like a dance and an art, and
is.
it's just more than just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you in the grossest way possible, which I feel like is what
Game
it
of
is
Thrones.
today. Yeah, which is just like, how gross can we get? How scary and nasty
Right,
can
yeah.
we get? Versus just like, I don't really want to kill you, but like we're on opposing ends, so like, let's go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That it gives me so much respect from an acting standpoint because it's like, okay, memorize these lines. Already can't do that. And then it's like,
I'm out.
yeah, it's like, okay, now I want you to just do like a light jog around this set. Okay, also can't do that. And then it's like on top of that, here is the choreographed sword fight you're gonna have with this other person.
That's a solid like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then it's like on top of that, you need to know when your lines start after theirs ends.
And you have
Like-
to hit your mark. So it's like, I step forward here, say this line, step back. Say
Yeah, the
this
whole
line.
thing's time.
Well, and
Back,
they, like
forth,
there's
back,
that one part
forth.
where they jump onto that thing and like grab onto it and swing.
Those
and,
weird
like,
little swings for no reason.
Those
So
are so
funny.
sick, though.
I love it. It's so unnecessary, and it's just like, yes,
yeah,
I
was
love
like,
the
this
drama.
is ridiculous. I love it.
it's so good. Give me more. I want to do that. I want to just like flex on somebody and do 2 spins after they did one for no reason. It's awesome.
It is what I found interesting. Maybe you guys can explain this to me. And maybe this is just my Quentin Tarantino frame of mind.
Mhm.
Is
Oh no.
it's they
Buckle
finished
up.
the sword fight, and I'm like, okay, cut his head off. And he just hits him on the
It's
top
not
of the
that kind
head.
of movie.
I
Yeah,
can
that's-
kind of
yeah.
relate to that, though. Just like talking about it before. Growing up with Lord of the Rings, I'm like,
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
so when do the ring wraiths show up?
Yeah.
But one part that got a really big laugh out of me was when he confronts the 6-figured man and he looks at him and then he
Oh.
just runs. That got me really
That-
good.
So
yes,
good.
That was probably my biggest laugh.
That
I'd
was
say.
a really big laugh for me.
Well, and I think that's what's so good about like the quote unquote, well, I guess they are villains, but the villains in the movie, which is the 6-Finger Man and then Humperdinck, is just like, they're still very like honest and like they're very like dry and wit. And it's awesome because they still play off each other. It's not just like this boring character who's like not interesting at all to listen to,
Yeah.
you know, more so with Humperdinck, I think, but the villains are fun too. And like,
Well, the other thing that you jogged my memory of that we talked about is, and it did not start off the movie well for me because I saw Humperdinck and I was like, that's Lord Farquaad from Shrek immediately.
yeah,
And it's like, not the gumdrop buttons. It's the spitting image.
he does look just
Mhm.
like him.
He really does.
He came well before though, like a solid at least 13 years before.
Yeah. When was Shrek released? Do you know?
Shrek was released in 2001.
Yeah, so sorry.
So
14 years.
Humperdinck was the short, bald guy, right?
No. He was the
No, Humperdinck's the
king.
prince.
prince, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Prince Humperdinck.
Chris Sarandon.
Yes.
Which,
Is that Susan Sarandon's son or
I-
brother or
it
husband?
It might be. I just know him from Fright Night, where he was a vampire.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm just like, oh, horror movies.
I like that you don't know the name of the character, but you know the name of the actor.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
That's a lot of people. That's the case for a lot of people.
That is not my case.
Yeah, not your case.
I did like that the short guy, the guy that said inconceivable, that when he died, he actually died. Like I was expecting him to show up later on in the movie, and I was like, oh no,
Oh.
he's
literally just dead.
dead.
They play by real rules.
It
Playing
is-
for keeps.
It
Playing
is funny
for
that that's the one guy that
keeps.
died. Like he was
I guess
obviously
fuck that guy.
Yeah. I was curious about what he was gonna do because he's like, I want to challenge you to like a fight of intelligence, basically. I was like, are you guys gonna like play a game of chess and hit each other with the pieces?
Well,
Like-
that's what I mean. So to get back to what I don't know when you asked this question. And I don't even know if you asked it to me, but I'm gonna answer it now.
Go for it.
Was that if you were in the writer's room,
Mm.
I would ask about like, can you explain to me how like how his like that scene doesn't, how he responds to that doesn't make sense to me, because he's just like, I can't take it over here and I can't take it over here. Like, how does he land where he lands as far as making the decision and switching them? Like, where is his logic there? Because I don't see it.
I think
and it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I watched it so many times and I'm like, I just see him being like he just seems like an idiot. Is that it? He's just an idiot? Okay.
I think, no, I get what you're saying. I think it was one of those things where it's like the who's on second, what's on third. Like
it's just like maddening.
Yeah, it's just like dumb logic, dumb logic, dumb logic, dumb logic.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I think that's what they're going for. Is like he's
Probably.
not as smart as he thinks he is.
Yeah.
But it was odd. It was
Drunk on his
definitely
own
odd.
ego.
It's just like you're so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, that was one of the first times where I was like, I kind of saw what was going to happen. Because I was like, I imagined it was probably just something that he poured into both the wine glasses. He's going to die. But that was one of the first things I was like, I kind of know what's going on.
Of course, it's like he had to have poured in both.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to know more about his insight to the character, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, where's his head at? Like, why does he do that? Or
why are you so strange?
Why
Tell
is he
me
so
more.
weird? I don't understand.
Yeah.
He's a weird one to me. But.
I did like the game of wits though, with the wine, with the powder and everything, and him being like, all right, so I developed a immunity for this.
Yeah.
Like, I've been poisoning myself for years.
I want to
occasion.
watch that build up to that. Like, does she just get ill?
Yeah, he just drinks it, vomits. All right, so let me write that down in my
Yeah.
quill.
Yes. That's what he's doing on the boat all the time.
I'm just also thinking of like other games of wit that they could play. He just like
Yahtzee.
Yeah, like what do you think of? Yeah, it's like you said,
Well,
are we
my
gonna play
brain
chess? Like I
immediately
don't
was like,
know.
solve this Rubik's Cube.
That would have been awesome, honestly.
Like there's a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, but like
Right.
branded and everything. Like,
Okay.
Grandpa,
here's my
there
question for
Rubik's
you guys.
cubes
there
weren't
were
there.
Rubik's cubes back then.
Shut up, kid.
He's drinking.
Okay, if you had to play a game of wit, what would be your game that you would play of wit?
That's an incredibly difficult question.
I'll go
How am I
first.
supposed to just make up a game?
So no, not a game. Just like something you would do to prove more.
to prove I'm
than-
smart?
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm just
Like
kidding.
I would just off myself.
I would just
Give me the dagger, please.
you want to put this in both our cups and see who dies?
Guess what? Only
Oh,
in
could it
my
be
cup.
me? Yeah, I don't know.
It's funny though, because like in that scene, he looks at him and he like does like an up and down, and he's like, "Okay, clearly you're more physical than I am. You're
He's like,
younger
you're
than I am."
smoking hot.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'd hit that ass,"
Yeah,
but
you would cuck me.
but it's like what like. To me that was the one scene where I was like, I can't really get behind this, because it's like he loses the game of wit, and it made sense why it had to be a life or death situation, because like if it was anything else, the guy loses the game of wit, just stabs him anyway, and then runs off with the girl.
Yeah.
For me, it'd be spelling. Like, I would want to do like a spelling bee against him. Be like, spell concise, asshole. and he
Spell
dies.
inconceivable.
I'm gonna tangent very briefly and tell a short story,
Go for
because
it.
as Czar knows, my ability to spell
It's terrible.
is non-existent.
Nope.
And my biggest fear is anyone finding that out, which is why I'm saying it on the
So
podcast.
we're gonna say it on the
Yeah.
podcast.
For all of our 5 Belgium listeners.
But so I was teaching a class on public speaking, which is already kind of terrifying, because you're like, okay, I hope I'm not doing any of the things that I'm telling them not to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets to a point where we're and it's funny you say concise, but we get to a point where we're putting up these big posters on the wall, and one of the other facilitators is like, okay, I want you to capture everybody's thoughts about the best practices of public speaking. It's like the very beginning, we're like trying to get a gauge of people's understanding of it, and someone's like, you gotta be clear and concise, mainly just concise. And I was sitting there, and they're like, put it on the board, Jared. And I'm like, concise, concise. And I went CON period.
No,
Yeah.
Jared, no.
Yes, yeah. There was a lot of
Concise?
abbreviations that were happening during that activity.
That con is not. That's not an abbreviation for concise.
Continue.
The
Yeah.
amount of sweat that poured out of my body. When they
Jordan
said-
Peele gif of just sweat.
Yeah. I was like, something spelled. No, that's not gonna happen. I would do anything else other than spell.
So if it was a game of wits and they were like, spell this word, you're like, I'm sorry, but I need to die now.
There's no way. Yeah, if somebody gun to my head and said spell concise, I'd say pull the trigger.
So if there was a gun to my head and they were like, you need to spell restaurant, you'd be like, I love you, Czar, but it's gonna be the Jared podcast.
I go, hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. Just you and me, buddy. I love you. I love you. Look at me. Don't look at It's just, I don't know. It's like I've always struggled with that. That's like my kryptonite is I just cannot spell. And like working in a corporate environment doesn't help that because you don't need to know how to spell. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe you do, but.
Sorry, what? What do you mean you don't know how to, what? I don't know. You need to elaborate on that.
There's a lot of, hey, Jared, will you send me an email? I'll give you a call.
Oh, my God. He doesn't know how to write. That's why he's doing a podcast.
I'll see myself out.
That's why it's called the J and Z podcast, not the Jared podcast.
Like, sorry, I need someone to just write for me. Well, so Game of Wit, though, for me, obviously not anything spelling, but I love chess.
Yeah.
But then it's like, exactly. I was thinking, oh, that'd be cool if they did. No, they wouldn't. The only person that would think that would be cool is me.
I mean, I think it would be cool.
I think it would be cool. I'm just super bad at it because I don't see
you have
things.
to teach them chess first.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know how to play that.
That would be kind of funny though if he's like, okay, sit down. So this is how the rooks move, and this.
Why does he sound like this?
I don't know. He has a great voice though.
Yeah, he definitely has done a lot of cartoon voices too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Shane, in particular, how does this movie rank amongst other 80s movies?
Like favorites of yours or
like favorite 80s movies specifically? So to be honest, like I don't have, well, no, that's 70s. I don't know a lot of movies that are that I'm not aware of many movies that are in that genre that I'm, like I don't know.
You don't casually sit around and watch 80s movies all the time?
No, like I've seen some that I would, like in my head I would classify as like classic 80s movies, but I don't really know what year they came out, like Breakfast Club or something like that.
That was 80s.
Yeah. Which is like, those are classics, like I like that kind of stuff, but yeah, I don't know, I don't find myself watching it. So I think The Princess Bride is like, it's pretty freaking up there.
Well, that's the thing too, is like because it's so far up there, it probably also blocks everything else out.
Yeah, I just watched The Princess Bride over and over again, and I don't watch the other movies.
Yeah. What about you, Zar? Do you think like in terms of other 80s movies, how would this rank?
I think that it would probably be in the mid-range. Like there are definitely some other 80s movies that I would go to, but I think that this particular movie is a movie that I would want to show people if they were starting to get into fantasy.
Oh,
like this would be like the type of movie where it'd be like, okay, The Black Cauldron is a little too dark for kids.
Yeah.
So I would probably.
Hey, little Tommy, come here and watch The Exorcist. And I want you to pay attention to a couple
Pay close
things.
attention.
Pay attention to the religious connotations of this film.
You take those notes.
No, I think The Princess Bride would be a good movie to show a kid and be like, this is like the beginning of fantasy. Like this is, there's a kid that's a lot like you, or, this is some ideas with fantasy. And then after watching this movie, it's like, okay, I can gauge whether like what fantasy book or movie can I show you now?
Interesting.
So that I wish that I'd seen this at a younger age.
Yeah,
like that's
sure.
when it comes to like movies that people are really close to. I wish I would have seen this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think I would have really liked this as a kid and watched it multiple times.
So with that in mind, what would follow? So you'd go watch The Princess Bride, come back, now watch The Matrix Reloaded. Like what would your next movie be?
Next movie would be the animated Lord of the Rings. Like the animated Hobbit movie.
The animated Hobbit, okay.
The animated Hobbit movie from like 1987.
I did not know that existed.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lord of the Rings was a huge part of our childhood as well, like growing up, and it's interesting that you make the connection between as that like an intro to fantasy, that because I've never thought of that. I've literally never equated the two, because in my mind, it's a love story, and then like, obviously Lord of the Rings is like a whole world. Right?
Yeah,
like it's a whole fucking world. So that's interesting. That's an interesting connection.
All right. So where I want to kind of end things at, and I love this question because especially with like a super fan, not to speak on your behalf, of the movie.
Please don't.
If there is a scene that you had to remove, like cut, like you're directing the movie, you're in the editing room, and you've got like 3 hours of footage, which scene would you pull out of the movie? Couldn't have it too long, gotta cut it.
Too long, gotta cut it. That's tough. See, the tough thing about that is that it's not that long of a movie.
It's not.
Especially
Yeah.
by today's standards. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So it's
You
like,
could fit a
what
whole
do-
other movie in there.
Literally, by today's standards, a whole other
You
movie.
could, yeah.
So it's kind of, it feels like, but they're all vital. Like it's only
Mhm.
90 minutes.
Yeah.
There may be a Fred Savage scene that I would be willing to let go of.
Yeah.
One that's like, because there's some that I like. I like when they stop, like when he's holding the blanket all tight. He's like, "You look scared. Are you okay?" He's like, "No, I'm good. Like whatever, I'm good."
Shut up, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up,
No, I agree. I think.
Just
I
want to
think.
play my video games, Grandpa.
Grandpa.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For me, I don't think it would be a Fred Savage scene because that had a cool effect for me, where it was like, oh shit, that's like this is
Right.
happening. It was just like a snap. It was like a rubber band effect.
Yeah.
I think and I know you're gonna hate me for this.
Oh no.
But the barn scene wasn't crazy
Just
about.
jealous.
I just I was watching
Jealous of
it.
being
and
Carrie always.
We all want to be him.
it was just
or
funny.
Robin Wright.
Yeah, it was just like it was really dramatic, and so I was still at that point where I was like, I don't really know what is going on.
It is early on for such an intense moment.
Yeah. It's
Pretty
so,
early on.
So I think you do have to like, cause like Lila and I were ready for it, right? We were like, here's the barn scene. Here we go.
Like, shut up.
Shut up.
Barn scene's out
I don't
there.
care. Shut up. So I think
She's gonna make him reach for something.
Yeah. He's gonna say as you wish. You have to watch it a couple of times to catch up on, you pick up those other things. So I think that's one of those moments that maybe you just have to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's just things that are nostalgic and everybody has that. And I think that's why I think it is a great movie and I think it is objectively like important and fun and like a specific kind of very intense and dramatic, but also very lighthearted and like what he said, like we get through life, we do it, like we're doing it, but it's also stupid and ridiculous and like very dramatic and silly. Like it's all of those things. And so for me, I think that it's hard to put, because I just want to be like, I don't know, do I want to say it's my favorite movie of all time? Like, I don't know. It's up there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could probably comfortably say that, honestly, because it is just that, I just love it. And I like Robin Wright, and I like, I can't say his last name, Carrie Elways. Is that how it's pronounced? Because I always make it more complicated.
You're good. I make everything more complicated.
Yeah, but like it's just a good movie. It's fun. It's just like
a
hug.
How many times do you think you go back to it? Like before watching it for the podcast, do you like, was it within like the last couple of years that you'd seen this?
I would say I watch it probably like a couple times a year.
That's awesome.
I should
It's
watch
worth
it.
a watch. It's worth one watch. It's an hour and a half. Like just watch it.
It's
you
a
watch other
quick watch.
stupid
Like,
garbage. Like just watch that.
Yeah.
Stop watching TikTok and just watch The Princess Bride.
I mean, there's longer episodes of Breaking Bad than The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Like it's an easy watch too.
It's easy. It's lighthearted. Like it's got those moments, but it's fun. It's not taxing.
Yeah.
You know.
It's fantastic. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being on.
Yay.
Shayna, this is a great episode. This was amazing. If you haven't seen it, go watch The Princess Bride.
Go watch it. Stop watching TikTok.
It's on I believe it's on Hulu. That's where I watched it, was on Hulu.
We have a DVD.
It is also at Shayna's house.
It's also at my house.
Address 335.
Well, this has been fantastic. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify, all of that great stuff. And we will see you next week. Adios.
Adios.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.